Hey drummers, want to give you a quick tip for your drumming today. Now, when I was younger, I was in the marching band, so I was in the drum line and all that stuff. And if you've had any similar experience, like maybe you did the same thing I did, or maybe you were in drum corps or something like that, and especially if you've had a lot of experience drumming many years, like I have, you might find, like I did, that your drumming might actually be not, I wouldn't say too accurate, but a little too even and mechanical sounding. And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about how we can kind of shift our mindset and hopefully bring back some of that organic feel while still playing with a click track, still being precise and accurate, but maybe not quite sounding quite so much like a robot. All right, so I'm going to obviously exaggerate what I'm talking about in this example to make it more obvious, because this really is a subtle thing that I want to talk about. But many of us, I'm just going to play a pattern. I'm going to kind of show you what I mean when I mean mechanical, or when I say mechanical. And it's something like this. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with that pattern. It was fine. But if I was going to nitpick it, and maybe if I was in a drum tracking situation where I'm trying to, really bring the feel and bring everything I've got and some soul to the part, I might look at that and say, you know what? That's accurate and it's even. And if there's a click track, maybe you'd say it's with the click track, but it's just lacking some kind of special soul or feel. So what I discovered is that when I grew up in marching band and all those kind of real where you have to sync up with a bunch of other drummers, it's of course an advantage to be very consistent with your stick height. And if there's a 16th note subdivision, you really want to think about your hands moving as 16th notes all the time, even when they're not moving, so that you're always landing accurately. So in the pattern that I just played, you might be thinking, eighths over here, and then even though you're not playing every in between 16th with your snare hand, you're still kind of thinking da 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 da. You're kind of like you're filling it all in even when you're not playing. And what that causes me to do, at least, is that's where the mechanical feel comes in. It's that my hands and my whole mindset never breaks away from that 16th note pattern that's going through the whole pattern. So what I did in my own mentality to kind of shift and get something with a little more soul in it, and that I want to suggest you try, is stop thinking in terms of 16th note subdivisions all the way through. And of course, this only applies where if you're in a situation where you have the experience and you can play accurately. If you're having trouble playing accurately and evenly to begin with, don't follow this tip. Work on that stuff first. But what I've decided to do is I start thinking about patterns as phrases. What are the accents? What are the groupings of notes together that matter? And so instead of thinking of that pattern as da 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 da, or whatever it is, and you can make fun of me in the comments if you want about my mouth drumming. But instead of thinking of it like that, I want to think of that pattern as doom dats doom tss doom da doom dats doom tss doom da. And you can just tell right there's a difference. I'm not thinking about every subdivision. I'm thinking about the pieces that matter. Now, of course, if you have a click track going in your ears, those subdivisions are going to be there anyway. You don't need to think about those and break up your drumming like that. Focus on the pieces that matter and those pieces that you can bring feel to. Now, that won't only affect slight variations in your placement, hopefully, but also the accent pattern you choose to put in the part. So let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to play the original way I just showed you first, and then I'm going to change, and I'm going to show you the alternative way where I'm thinking about phrasing instead of subdivisions. So here's the original that I showed you a minute ago. And here's the version where I'm thinking about phrasing instead of 16th note subdivisions. And you can see, obviously, now I exaggerated that. I intentionally played the first one like super mechanical, and then maybe went a little overboard with the swagger in the second one. But the idea is that we want to think about the phrases and how we can group notes together and stop thinking so much about the mechanics of moving our hands around. Now, obviously, a couple of other things that you want to keep in mind is, one, like I said, you want to get good at being accurate and playing robotically first so that you can stop doing that and ease back from it. If you have trouble playing with a click, don't make up that you just don't like playing with a click and that's your excuse for not playing with even tempo. And the third thing is have fun with this. Think about how inspiring it can be. When I was playing that second pattern, it caused me to do different accents. It changed the fills that I was thinking about doing. It changes a lot more than just how the exact pattern sounds. It actually can change the ideas you have while you're playing it and your execution and feel, and it can even inspire the other musicians around you to maybe try something different as well, which makes you more valuable as a band member, as a studio musician, or whatever you're doing as a drummer, because the goal is you want to be a drummer that other people like to be around and like to play music with. So hopefully that helps you out. Thanks for checking this video out, and we'll talk again soon.